Everyone, the CFL season is about to end, but not in the way you think. It is week 21 of the CFL season, and we are in for some chaos. So I had to dial up the Hamilton Sports Central hotline and get Rick back on here to talk about it because, we got 4 games this week, all with serious playoff implications involved. And that's probably the biggest thing going to be happening in Canadian sports this weekend.
Well, let's just say there's 1 East, 3 West games that have things. So it's just like, because if you really think about it, if Hamilton beats Ottawa on Friday,
yep,
Montreal can sit out players for Saturday's game. They don't have to play Alexander. They don't have to play, because they already has second. They're not going to drop any lower. So it's like, why not just rest your players for this weekend's game so that they can be healthy for next week?
Yeah, no. That's the exact thing. I just still look at it though, where I'm like, do you play them for a quarter? I think there is a game where you do play some starters for a quarter, but if you're Montreal, if anyone's truly, truly banged up, I think regardless of what happens, you don't play them unless there is the chance that Hamilton does cough it up and the division's there for the taking in the East. No, I'm really glad. And obviously, look, Toronto's out. Toronto season's done. I put them to rest in my 3 Down Nation column that came out late Saturday night. But I'm excited just to kind of like watch from afar this week where there's like no rooting interest. And honestly, my mental rooting interest is not going to be CFL. I'm not like, I know it's a bad thing to say, but it's just, look, Blue Jays are in the World Series. So I'll be keeping tabs on the CFL, but we all know who's king of sports in Canada right now. The thing with this weekend, though, is just the fact that you still have, I will say this, out of the 8 teams playing, I think 7 of them are going to show a fighting effort to some extent. And then there's one team where it's just, I'm sorry, but like, from everything we've seen from them, even though the bastards covered the spread, Ottawa seems like it's going to be a really, like, for Toronto, it's more about finding an identity and a foot forward for next year. But for Ottawa, it's really about like, hey, we were supposed to take a step forward. There's a chance we're 4-14 this football season. We got to get a new identity. We got to get a new coach. We got to get a new quarterback. Excuse me.
Offensive coordinator.
There's just so much that they got to figure out to where it's like, where do you go from here? But you have a Hamilton team looking to lock down number 1 in the East. You have a Montreal team who's right there on their back. So you have a Winnipeg team looking to, avoid the crossover. You got a Calgary team looking to avoid the crossover. You have a BC Lions team who's looking to host a damn home playoff game after the disappointing season they had last year. There's just so much to play for, but I'm going to go back to it for a second just to put a bow on Toronto's season. The biggest observations I can make going into next year is the fact that next year seems like a really big year of, if it doesn't go their way, I think there could be significant change in the sense of a new quarterback in the room. Apparently, I didn't realize this, but Nick Arbuckle is under contract for next year.
I was just going to say that. I didn't even know that either.
Yeah.
Until your guys' article came out today.
Yeah, I didn't realize that either. It comes out. We all know Chad's going into a contract year. This is the last year of his deal. But the third quarterback spot, I honestly would give the keys to Max Duggan as of right now, because he's been nice to talk to. He's been a nice person. Like, I'm just the Jared Daggy experiment. I'm over. Tucker, like, there was a lot of Argonauts fans who wanted to see Tucker play football, but like, I'm sorry. I'm just like, the kid doesn't look like there. I'm just like, but then Max Duggan, he comes in and I'm like, like, even did what he told me. He was like, hey, he's only been here 6-7 weeks, but he's kind of like already picking up the cadences and just the overall differences between like what you would experience in the UFL, NFL, and in the CFL. So the Argonauts really have a chance next year to like rewrite the book. It's just for right now. They got some soul searching to do, and they've got to figure out, hey, what are we going to be in 2026? Because there's a lot of people that are not going to count us out, but there's a lot of just like overall deck stacked against us mentality.
Not only that, but it's like, what are you guys going to do? And I hate to bring this up again, but what are you guys going to do for like the regular season? Because you have camp at Guelph.
Yep.
And it's like, what, you go on the road for like 4, 5, 6 games plus a bye? Like,
yeah.
how are you supposed to, generate what's the word that I'm thinking of? Like the camaraderie, like doing well, like as a group, like building that bond. Because normally you build it in camp and everything, and then on road games and stuff like that. So it's like, how are you going to build something like that?
My big question I've been thinking about is where are they going to practice? Obviously, I don't go to practice just because of I have a job outside of football and the fact too that I don't live anywhere near the city of Toronto. But the fact of the matter is, too, they're not going to be able to practice at Lamport next year. They're not going to be able to have access to their own facilities. So, do you make base camp at Guelph? Which, look, they should be playing their home games there. That's another topic for another day. I would have loved it because I'm only half an hour driving away from the University of Guelph.
So it benefits you.
Yeah, it would benefit me greatly. That's the thing I look at. But I understand why they did it. I'm not saying anything else, but yeah.
Yeah. Everyone knows why they did it.
But no, yeah, they did it for the money. I don't blame them. Like, hey, they're trying to make money. I'll be honest with you. I thought at first it was like a TSN thing too, because like the overall broadcast quality from the University of Guelph would have been a lot harder than doing it in the traditional CFL stadium. But after seeing what BC is going to be doing with the Lions, I'm like, oh, they chose the money making route instead of what made the most sense logistically for the fan base.
Yeah.
But all in all, if they can get off to a solid start and then come back home, because when they come back home is going to be probably I would say either right before or right around Labor Day. So you come back home, you have that little run. So that's what I'm saying. Hey, they might build it in the most unexpected ways possible. I just look at it from a standpoint with them where it's just like it's going to be easier said than done. But we'll see what this Argos team is capable of.
Yeah, I didn't think that they were gone that long. I thought like maybe like middle of August, like beginning of August, but then I didn't realize that they had to spend so much time to change over the field from soccer to football. And
it's a bit of a tricky process. I also think that a lot of it too is just getting the stadium built back to CFL standard. Like, there's just a lot of there's a lot of stuff that goes well beyond yours and mine pay grade that they have to deal with. I do think they'll come back home probably right before or right around when the CNE starts. That's my guess.
Fair enough.
Yeah. I think probably maybe the weekend, how there's that week, this year they had the home, you remember the day they had the home game against Ottawa when they pissed down their leg and they lost?
Yeah.
You know how the CNE is getting set up outside, the football's going on inside?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's something similar to that. Like that time of year is when their first home game will be in 2026.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. But no, that's pretty much all I gotta say about there. The team really hit their peak with that kicking motion that Ryan did when he did against Edmonton, which I love. Don't get me wrong, and we're gonna miss next year with the sideline things. But obviously, it's that is what it is. Anyway, before we get into the game predictions, what's your biggest storyline that you're looking at for Week 21 right now? Because you tweeted Derek Taylor with a playoff picture today.
Yeah, so here's my thing is as an East person, I'm willing to play anyone but BC.
Yes.
As long as we don't play BC, I'm okay.
Can I give you the ranking of order that I think for the crossover, the teams you want to see versus not want to see?
Sure.
I think Calgary's number 1. Meaning number 3. I'm going to do 3-1. So 3 meaning most that you want to see versus 1, the one you don't want to see.
Okay.
I'm going to say Calgary number 3. I think they're good. I can't trust Vernon Adams in the cold weather. He's had some really hit or miss games this year. And, just overall, you don't know what version of that team you're going to get, especially defensively.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2 is Winnipeg because, look, it hasn't been the best year for them, but we all know this happens. The best teams find the best ways to win at the most opportune times. I think a Winnipeg Blue Bombers team is very dangerous. I think they can take advantage of anyone. I think they can play with anyone. And then I have BC as that team because Nathan Rourke's going to win MOP. Nathan Rourke has had a hell of a year. And I just think overall the BC Lions are finding their groove at the right time. And a storyline people aren't paying enough attention to that I think they should be paying more attention to is the fact that Matthew Betts remembered how to play football really well.
So here's my question.
Yes.
Is Out of those three, do you think BC is the only one that has a chance to get past Montreal in the East semifinals if Montreal's second?
Can I be honest with you? I really think that either BC or Winnipeg can hang with the Alouettes because of just like I said, it hasn't been the most pretty year, but I think that Montreal that Winnipeg offense can throw everything at the Montreal defense, and I think that Winnipeg has the special teams advantage with a return game with Trey Vaval. Calgary, look, every time I don't trust them, they prove me wrong. Every time I trust them, they say, Griffin, you don't know what you're talking about. We're actually not good at football. So I also think Calgary's maybe been that team that may have peaked a little bit too early, where it's like at the beginning of the year, it's like, hey, they look really good. And then now all of a sudden it's like, ew, what's going on with the Calgary Stampeders? I just think with Winnipeg, you can't ever count them out. You got to stop them up. They say sometimes to kill a bug, you got to squash it.
Yeah.
Or even, actually, I'll give a better analogy. You cannot submit them. You have to knock them out. If you have a chance to hit them and hit them hard, like Toronto did in the Grey Cup last year, think about that. Toronto had them on the ropes, and what did they do? They delivered the knockout blows. That's what the Bombers are. The Bombers are the team that aren't going to go away quietly. I think no matter who goes into Montreal, I don't think it's a guarantee that the Alouettes do win if the Alouettes are the 2 seed. Same if Hamilton is the 2 seed. We just don't know that. But I'll say this from a home division standpoint, I think BC has the most to lose if they were to go to the crossover, as opposed to being the second place team and hosting either Calgary or Winnipeg at BC Place next weekend.
Yeah, just my thing with Winnipeg is like, first off, you never know what you're gonna get with Claros.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know what you're gonna get with Brady, because sometimes you could have Brady play a good game, and then look at last week when they played Saskatchewan, Brady played like trash.
Yep.
So it's a take a chance for the biscuit. Oh, funny fact is, I don't know if I told you this. So me and Carter interviewed Hakeem Harris from Montreal. Hakeem Harris.
Yes.
So because we're interviewing him for our podcast. Next, Sean Oakman and another teammate walks in the background, and we're just saying hi to him. Me and him we're trash talking each other. He's like, "Oh, you should take that hat off or that jersey off," because I was wearing a Hamilton jersey. I'm like, "Bud, we're in first place." He's like, "Not for long." I'm like, "Yes, we will, because all we have to do is beat Ottawa, and we're in, my friend."
It's not saying much, though. Oh, we have to beat Ottawa. It's like, well, 14.
No, but he's trying to tell me that they were going to be in first. I'm like, "Bud, you guys had your chance to be in first, and you guys freaking blew it."
Yeah, they had.
We had our chance to.
They had week 4 in Hamilton, and then right after Labor Day, you guys got really mad and were like, "We're going to go into your stadium and we're going to put the belt on you," and that's exactly what the Alouettes did. But I don't really think we have to go into too much detail when it comes to the last round of Gents game predictions for week 21 of where things are going to go or where things are headed. But my big gripe with this weekend's game is just, look, we saw today the Ticats came out and said, hey, that they're going to be, I believe it's updating people on the Blue Jays game, and then are they going to be showing the Blue Jays game after the Ticats game is over?
So the game starts at 7.
Yeah.
I assume that the Jays game's at 8.
Correct.
So I'm assuming that they'll show highlights throughout the game. And then after the game's over, those that want to stay and watch game, I'm sure they'll put it on at the stadium.
Ooh, I like that. But
that's my understanding anyways.
So my big question with this game, honestly, because like we know Tyree Adams is quarterback from Ottawa. We know Ottawa pretty much is like the U-Hauls, like they're just waiting to put the locks on the back of the U-Haul truck doors. If Hamilton is still winning by the third quarter by at least, I would say 10 points, because the spread for this one is really tricky. It is 15.5 points. I believe that's a college level spread. Do you think that Bo Levi Mitchell plays the complete game, or do you think they pull him early?
I don't know if you remember this. I
or
can't
other
remember
starters
if
for that matter.
no. It was it last year or the year before? Do you remember when they had him in and then he got injured just before like the game ended and then all of a sudden he was gone for the season? I can't remember if it was last year or the year before that. We're up by like a bunch of points and everyone's like, why do you still have him in? You could have just taken him out. And then he went to go run and then he got injured. And I think that was the first year he was with us or the second year, one of the two. But I think that if it's 30 plus points on Ottawa, then you got to take him out because you can't risk him for the East final.
Yeah, that's what I just think.
Or sorry, that's
no. It is
well. Then don't. I was gonna say then don't forget if we did finish first, then we would have that bye, so he could still get healthy too.
I know. I just don't think you take the risk with it. I just don't think it's the right thing to do. I think you have, look, the Hamilton Tiger Cats are going to be fine. The Hamilton Tiger Cats should win this game and lock up the number 1 seed in the East. I just think that we're in a world where Hamilton knows that the end goal is greater than the result of this game. So I think if they are winning and it's like, halfway through the third quarter or even end of the third quarter, I think you just pull the chain. I think you let them play at least some of the third quarter to keep them loose because of the bye week. But the fourth quarter, it should be Taylor Powell. It should be other guys seeing actually, the Kenny Lawlers of the world, guys like that, kind of like take a step back. Because we all know with Ottawa, more than likely, it's just, hey, let's just stay healthy, go to the offseason, no one get hurt, and then we're going to say our goodbyes to Bob Dice Saturday morning. But look, I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just they're giving the bulletin board material. I don't know what you want me to do. Like, this is a football team that's like they've been checked out for months.
This would have been the perfect episode to wear my Fire Condell t-shirt.
Yeah.
It's like I feel like going down to Ottawa, just walking around the city with the Fire Condell. Like it's like I don't know if Griff, if you've seen the Ottawa games, but they're so predictable. Like the runs that they do.
Yep. They're just
and it's even starting to see, like, I'm even starting to see it even with like the Ticats, even without Tommy Condell. Like, because this month I haven't been able to go to practice, but when I go to practice and see the players in that and then watch the games, it's like, hey, when these people are going in, they're doing this. When these people are going in, they're doing that. It's like you can almost pick up again with what the team's doing.
That's just the thing, though. Like, what they're doing, what they're up to. You kind of like, it's very predictable in the sense. It's one of those things where you would rather avoid, especially if you're a team looking to get to the playoffs. But then you have this case with the Red Blacks. They have an identity crisis, and that's the worst thing to have. Like, they're very predictable too, to where like, oh, hey, it works great with Dan Adeboboye, but we're going to abandon him and forget it. Ottawa without a run game is not a good football team. Ottawa with a run game is a very competitive football team. They've just got to figure out how to use both properly. So I think you get, whether it's Mark Mueller, Noel Thorpe, there was the joke. There's been the rumor people have been saying of like throw Brian Dinwiddie a bag of money and give him the GM title as well, but I do not see that happening. I think MLSC, like the cost of like for them to let him go like that would be too much for OSEG to regroup. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But the other thing with Ottawa and just with the CFL in general, they're probably going to be the only team with a new head coach in 2026.
Was it you that I sent? Because I was actually looking at their record over since 2019. Was it you that I told that it was like 27, 75, and 1 since 2019?
No,
like
but it's very accurate.
So 19, they're 14 and 14 or 4-14 and 0.
Yep.
20, it was just write that season off.
Yeah.
The 21, it was like 3-11 and 0 because that was the 14-game season. Then the season after that, they're 14 or 4-14. Last year was their only good season at 9-8-1, and then this year they're 4-14 again.
Yep.
Like, how are you gonna? Oh, and then Not only that, they're also doing improvements to their stadium next year, so they're losing half of their stadium. So it's like, how are you going to prove to your fans like it's time to turn this page around?
Here's the thing that scares me about those stadium renovations is the fact that the team's still not good by the time they get out of them. It's going to turn into how do we get people back in? Because we all know the story that if Ottawa does not get people back into the stadium and they continue to be bad, guess what happens? They're going to lose their team again. You don't want to see it happen. The team's been around for 10 years plus. But they've had what? They have the one Grey Cup, and then they have a handful of mediocre seasons to show for it.
So depends on how far back you go. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think the Rough Riders had 2 Grey Cups. So if you include those with the Red Blacks, then you technically have 3.
They should have returned as the Renegades, but that's just me.
Oh my god, that logo was atrocious.
I like that. I appreciate stupid logos like that. But no, the big thing for this game too is just, both teams get through healthy. I know Ottawa can say they have something to prove, but for Ottawa, pretty much it's like I said, it's just get to the offseason there. Like, that's why I think this game can get bad, because I thought Toronto was going to show a fight Saturday night. They did not. I think the same thing's going to happen here with Ottawa. But Friday night, we do have a second game. We have Edmonton taking on Calgary at home. I think Calgary wins, but I think Edmonton's going to try to play spoiler here for the Stamps because Edmonton's giving me a very Hamilton vibe going into this offseason, where it's like that we started bad at the beginning of the year. We're finding our groove. We got our head coach. I think next year they just got to add some more pieces offensively to go along with everything. And then you have a surefire quarterback in Cody Fajardo. You shape the defense up. You get the offense right. I think this is a Edmonton team, it's going to be very competitive. I'm not saying they're going to be competing for the 1 seed, but they're definitely going to be in the playoff mix in 2026.
Yeah, it's just, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like, are you going to sit Mills? Or are you do you play Adams for the full game? Because Stevens is still out. They had Jordan Love playing last week, and he honestly didn't do that bad.
No, Joshua Love played really well. I think Mills will play. So here's what I mean by that. I don't think Edmonton wins. I do think Edmonton covers the number.
Yeah.
I think Edmonton keeps the game close, but I do think Calgary wins. But I do think, though, if by the fourth quarter, Calgary kind of has to get in control, or with 10 minutes left, the game's kind of out of reach, I do think that there is a chance that Dave Dickinson does pull guys. I do think Vernon Adams, Dedrick Mills, even, Philpott, et cetera, guys like that. I think you see them get pulled. I think Josh Love gets more reps. I think you just kind of if you're Calgary, you have to be really surgical with this because unlike Hamilton, there's going to be football for you next week. So I think if there's a chance this game does not out of hand, but they're at a point where they're kind of hey, we're comfortable with where we're at. That's when I think you see guys get pulled.
There's actually, I was just looking at the injury report. There's 12 to 13 players that are not playing this weekend.
Yeah.
For Calgary.
So if they're how I was saying earlier, hey, if there's already guys that are banged up, you're not going to play them this weekend. It's the same thing here. With Montreal, I think you're going to see that. I think you're going to see that with a lot of teams once depth charts for these games come out tomorrow morning. But with Calgary, if they have guys that are banged up, like we say, that's why it's just even if it's a little ailment here or there, because they say that you can play hurt, but you can't play injured.
Yeah.
If guys are hurt, that's where I think that steps in. That's why that number is so high of who's out of the lineup this weekend. So still give me the Elks at +6.5, but I do think the Stamps find a way to win. It just really depends on are the Stamps okay with potentially going to BC play or potentially going out east.
Fair enough.
Then Saturday afternoon, Montreal, Winnipeg. I still think even if Hamilton does win, I do think you're going to see Dave. I think we see Davis Alexander even for a quarter or a quarter and a bit. It's kind of I think the Alouettes would treat this like a preseason game. Your good guys get a couple of drives in, a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half. But then the second half of this game is going to be all backups. And then for Winnipeg, it's pretty much just fine tuning the machine. But at the same time, too, you'll still probably see some guys who are out that may they want to rest, because with Winnipeg, there's a very good chance you're playing this exact same team next week. So, and here's the other thing too, with Montreal, vibes are high right now as well. One thing we haven't talked about yet, contract extensions for Danny Machocha and Jason Moss, very well deserved. But for Montreal, I still think they want to show that, hey, they don't want to take the week off. I also don't think that's in Jason Moss's DNA to do. I think he's going to have the guys ready to go Saturday afternoon in Winnipeg. Because for him, too, because for Jason Moss, he can say, guys, we want to be back here in 3 weeks. We want to be coming out of that tunnel representing the East Division. Jason Moss is going to have those guys wired to play, but I do think he will be smart about playing and pulling certain guys at the right time.
Do you think like Winnipeg and Montreal's like game plan or like even like the playbook will be like very vanilla this week, where it's like you won't show much just in case if you are playing them in the playoffs?
I think for Winnipeg, a lot of that's going to have to do with what happens with Calgary on Friday night. I think for Montreal, they're not going to show their hands that much. I think this is going to be. So I'm looking at, like, obviously, I do my videos every week for betting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like I don't know about Hamilton. What I'm going to do there yet. I'm going to take Edmonton. I'm going to take the under for this game, though, of 48.5, because we even saw it last week, too. Winnipeg won a very ugly game against Sask. And Sask was benching guys. They were resting guys and not playing a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a similar style of football game where it's just, hey, guys, we're both going to play. We don't want anyone to get hurt. So it's going to be a very boring game to watch. But I think for Winnipeg, they're going to be trying a little bit harder than Montreal. I just think for Montreal, it's going to be one of those things where I do agree with you. I do think they keep their cards close to the vest. I think they don't want to show their hand too much because, like you say, too, Sunday morning comes, you're watching film on this exact same team all over again, being like, hey, here's Winnipeg, because I do think there's a chance that this is the game we see next Saturday afternoon from Percival Molson.
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I got with that one. And then Saturday night we cap it off with Sask taking on BC. This is another game too where it's just like, especially if how do I say this? I'm gonna pull the standings up right now because I know there's like the seating chart that you've done where it's like not a seating chart, like this just the overall.
I never done it. I forget who I found it from on social media, but I found it from someone.
Okay. So I have it right now, the standings. So basically, if Calgary wins, Winnipeg will clinch 3.
Yeah.
So if Calgary and Hamilton win, Hamilton gets 1, Calgary gets. But here's the thing, though. If Calgary wins, if Calgary wins, BC has to win Saturday night. Otherwise, BC's going to Calgary next Saturday. So
interesting.
I think with a game like this, I'm just looking overall at the standings right now.
Mm-hmm.
If Calgary wins, I think BC's going to play most of their guys. But if Calgary loses, I'm pretty sure I'm going to pull the schedule up right now just as a whole, just to see everything. Okay, let's see.
Yeah.
BC. Yeah. BC swept Calgary this year. So as long as I think honestly, with I think you're going to see a very vanilla game plan from the Lions too as well. I think the Rough Riders, you're going to see a preseason style of football game, but with the Lions in this one, I think you're going to see, hey, we want to fine tune, but we don't want to do that because also too for the Lions, their big message is going to be like, I said, hey, Montreal, we want to be back where we're playing Saturday in 3 weeks. BC's going to look at this game and say, hey guys, we'll see you in 2 weeks. So I don't think a lot of they're going to give a lot off anyway, because for Sask, a lot of the teams this week, we said there's a lot on the line, but these games easily could get out of hand where it's just, hey guys, let's just make it to the finish without anyone getting hurt.
Yeah.
It's just because for as much as we love football and for as much as a violent sport as it is, a lot of these games are wait and see what happens. But ultimately with this game, something inside me thinks I'm still going to go with BC. I just don't know if I like BC at a 7.5 point favorite in this one. I don't think Sask is going to let them get blown out. I still think this is going to be a close game, kind of like what we saw with Sask do with Winnipeg last Friday.
Because I know I've seen somewhere, I don't know where I've seen it. They said that Harrison and AJ Ouellette will play, but it depends on how long.
See, that's the thing, because it's you have, like, with both teams, it's pretty much like the same thing like I said before. you have these scenarios where it's like, is playing your guys really worth it in the long run? Is, playing these guys like worth it for what the end goal is? Because we all know what the end goal for, like I said, for 6 of the teams playing this week. Yeah, 6 of the 8 teams playing this week, we know what the end goal is. For 2 of them, it's about finishing the season off either strong or mentally strong. And then for the other 6, it's about, hey, we got more football to play once the calendar turns to November next Saturday.
Yeah.
So I want to go back to Hamilton right now. Just
Sure.
to ask you something. Obviously, there's a lot of storyline this year. Just the 26-year drought, the Ted Gavaya passing. But with Hamilton, what do you think it's ultimately going to take? Or what do you like? What is something you're very confident in the team going into the playoffs? And then what's something about the team that not gives you pause, but gives you worry as you head to November football?
Okay, so with like what I'm looking forward to is the secondary and the receiving group. Because, I mean, Kenny Lawler already has 14 touchdowns going into this game.
Yes.
Then okay, I'm not going to say Tim White because Tim White's been kind of up and down this year. But you have him, you have Keandre, you have Shamar Bridges, who hasn't really gotten much because they've been throwing all to Kenny Lawler this year. So, and then don't forget, you get the odd touchdown to Giovanni Robinson. If Greg Bell can get his game going and get that 100-yard receiving, 100-yard rushing, there's that. My main worry is offensive line and quarterback. Because if Bo plays like he did against recently Calgary and Winnipeg,
Yep,
we have no shot. If you play like you have been against all the other teams, then there's a chance.
I just think with Hamilton, it's play the football you know how to play. Play it the Tiger Cat way. Find out what's working, stick to it, don't move away from it. I think if you start to get cute, or if my worry more or less is the defense, just because we've seen the defense win the team games and just take the games away. But we've also seen games like Labor Day where the defense had every chance to seal it and they let a couple passes go by them. I do think Peters is playing better. I don't think Katsatonis has kind of got his swagger back. My big thing for them is just how can the defense lock down when they need the lockdown?
And the way that this season's gone, nothing's good until that clock reaches 0. I don't care what anyone says.
That's just it. You just got to wait for the clocks to reach 0, see what happens, go from there, and then really hope for the best. Because with the Tabbies, like I said, they're the one team that hasn't won a Grey Cup since the year turned to 2010, even before that. But we all know this year that a Grey Cup, more than the drought, has a little extra merit to it. The other storylines I'm looking at is just you have BC where Nathan Rourke's looking to be Captain Canada. You have Vernon Adams Jr. who's looking to etch his name just in that CFL conversation. Winnipeg looking to get their swagger back as a dynasty. Montreal becoming a powerhouse. And last but not least, the Saskatchewan Roughriders of the Corey Mace era getting Trevor Harris his much-earned Grey Cup because he has a couple as a backup, but he doesn't have one as a starter. And that's something that I think Trevor Harris desperately, desperately wants.
The one thing that I will mention that has me worried overall for all teams is after next week, you're one and done. You lose, you're done. And that's what makes me worry more nervous than anything.
Do you think Hamilton having their third bye so late in the year and then another bye week right after this one could hurt them more than it could help them?
So you're talking about the one that we just had this week.
Yeah, and then if you were to win in 2 days from now against Ottawa, you get another bye week. Do you think that help? Do you think that will like benefit? Do you think that's a beneficial thing, or do you think it's better for them to keep playing football? Like, I'm not saying that they're going to lose or anything Friday night. You already went over that.
So here's how I look at it: is A, depends on who's injured and if they can get healthy for the playoffs.
Yeah,
because Miles Fox was injured for a couple of weeks and now he's healthy and ready to go. The only one that's not playing this week is Lawrence Woods III. Everyone else that's injured is most likely on 6-game. What I would really like to see this week, if all possible, I know it may not happen. Can we dress Drew Wolotarski and just throw him a couple of footballs for the love of God, please? Because right now, his, what is it, 170 or whatever, I forget what your group reported it as, but it's just like wasted money. Like he's only played one game.
Yeah, I don't know what much to think of that, but I feel like, for someone like Wolotarski, I think it really helps him if he can get some action, or you know what? If you save him for the playoffs, that's a little weapon X you can unlock.
So here's my thing that's been bugging me all year about our receiver group is you're not going to take him out for Lawler. You won't take him out for Keandre. White, probably not. Who are you going to take him out for? Giovanni Robinson, who's our tight end and a 6'8" guy. Your one of your fullbacks or Shamar Bridges? Like, who are you going to take him out for?
That's the thing. You don't. So that's where I think with like the team that we are all what was I going to say? It's like the team we're referring to here, the Blue Jays. They have the dilemma going into the World Series. Do you play Bo Bichette or not? Or depending on health, who comes out of the lineup? I think for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, it's a similar thing of like, hey, it'd be great to see Drew Wolotarski, but guess what? If the lineup we have right now is working and clicking and we are 11-7 going into the playoffs and we have the 1 seed and we have the bye, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
But I mean, at the same time, if you really think about it, when have we been clicking since that 6-game winning streak? Because now it's like win, lose, win, lose, win, lose, win, win, lose. Like we really haven't been clicking since that 6-game win streak.
That's the thing, though. But I just think that, like, if you were to try to make any like substitutions right now and get quote unquote cute with it, I don't know how much of a benefit that really can be for the Ticats, because it's like, oh, you start tinkering and toying with the lineups. One wrong move can be the difference between Hamilton making a trip to Winnipeg and being on the couch come November 16th.
No, but what I'm saying is this week, if you don't play all your receivers the full games, dress him and just throw him a couple of balls in like the third or fourth quarter.
Oh, you want to play him just to like get him in and like do that? Oh, okay. I see it.
Yeah, and then see what he has, and then see what he has because he's only played one game, and I don't even think he's been thrown a ball this year. I know he's dressed for a game, but I think it was like an incomplete pass or some garbage like that.
Yeah, I don't really know too much of what to say with that, but you know what? It just is what it is. You just hope for the best and you keep propelling forward, just get him some game action just to get him in there because you really want to see too, can he make the roster for 2026, excuse me.
I mean, he's a free agent at the end of this year, so I don't see him coming back unless they sign him to like a cheaper deal.
That just might be the thing. It might be like a mutual, not parting of ways, but like a mutual separation where it's just like, hey, Drew, we brought you in. We thought it was going to work. And then now it's like, hey, you know what? You can go back to the island of Winnipeg or wherever else would want to have a receiver of his nature.
It kind of reminds me of like Steven Dunbar, but like Steven Dunbar has done really well for us, but hasn't for other teams. It kind of reminds me of that. Like Woltarski does really well for Winnipeg, but I mean that's the only place that he's played.
I don't know. Unfortunately, I have too much else to add on to that, but all I'll say is hopefully we get 4 great games this weekend. Even though I feel like one of them I don't know that much about. But are you going to be at the game Friday night?
I am going to be at the game Friday night.
Mm.
So I have a general topic for you.
Okay.
Okay. So you obviously seen that the award nominees were released today.
Mm-hmm.
Out of any of the categories, is there one player that you would have said, okay, wait a minute, why is this player not in for this person?
The only one I will say that about is Jalen Hutchings for Calgary for defensive player.
So from with what I've read on social media,
the only thing is though Hutchings did have a fall off after Flo got injured, but I just think what he did at the beginning of the year really was like a thing. I just think Hicks had just as good of a season though.
So here's what I've read is I've seen a lot of people question Mark Leggio as the most outstanding Canadian and said that it should have been Keandre or Stavros.
I just think Stavros has been a little too inconsistent this year to get that. Like he's still a great football player. I just think between the injuries and then some of the plays, he's like because like Stavros is the kind of guy where he's either going to make a great play or he's going to let up a great play against his team. Leggio is just he's consistent. He's a very underrated X factor for the Cats. I had no problems with Mark Leggio. I didn't think when people see that they're like, oh, the kicker, but I'm just like. The Hamilton Tiger Cats without Mark Leggio would be a totally different football team.
No, but I get that. But it's like, even if you put Mark Leggio out there for most outstanding Canadian, we all know that Rourke's going to win it regardless. As much as I hate to say it, you know that Rourke's going to get it. Same with MOP. Like, I would love to see Bo get it this year because, I mean, that's 2 years straight that Bo has put up amazing numbers. And again, Bo doesn't get it. It's like, what else is this, pardon my French, freaking guy have to do to prove himself that to get an award?
I just think the voters are going to look at the aspect of the Canadian had an outstanding year, and the Canadian basically is one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So that's why I think that slight edge will go. I don't have a vote, but that's just my guess.
No, I know. But I mean, like, even like look at last year. Bo put up ridiculous numbers again, and here comes Brady Oliveira. It's like, stop looking at their passport. Okay, I get it, Canadian and all, but it's just like stop looking at their passport and look what they've done.
Can I give my take on last year?
What's that?
Winnipeg made the playoffs. Hamilton didn't make the playoffs. That's why I think Brady
I know
got it.
that's the only reason why Bo did not win last year, and that's freaking retarded.
Yes,
because if it's based off of season stuff, it should be based off of season and not if you make the playoffs or not.
Here's the other thing too. I think as well. Bo would have gotten over Nathan Rourke. Had the Ticats, had the 1 seed clinched already to where like if this Friday night's game would have been absolutely meaningless. Obviously, look, it's probably going to be meaningless at a certain point, but I think if they were going to be a 12-6 or 13-5, had they lost a couple of games, like say for example Labor Day, or the fact too that there's the games like the 40-3 one. I just think that like Nathan Rourke's propelled the team enough. Meanwhile, with Hamilton, there's been games they've won it because of defense. There's games where they've won it because of both. I just think that at the end of the day, this year, the passport angle is going to have a big thing to it. But at the same time, too, there might be a change of heart. I just think last year didn't have anything to do with passport. That was more just overall results because last year, the Bombers don't make the playoffs if Oliveira didn't play the way he did. And then with Bo last year, it was just too little too late. But why not, if you're Bo Levi Mitchell, go out there and try to win Grey Cup MVP? Hey, I don't need MOP. I want to go lead the city of Hamilton to its first Grey Cup in 26 years. I think for Bo right now, there's bigger fish to fry, and he wants to be doing it on a cold, maybe snowy Manitoba night in 3.5 weeks from now.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also to go back to your question about the Blue Jays, I know we've gone past that. There's one player that I would take out. I'm just trying to think of what the heck the guy's name is. Because I honestly think that Bichette is better than him, and it's that second baseman.
What, Jimenez?
No,
Straw?
Jimenez is playing shortstop. It is. Let me try to. Isaiah Kinner.
Oh, Connor Falefa?
Yeah.
I think it might be a sacrificial lamb thing, but I think it's more likely that like a Miles Straw comes out of the lineup than anything else, just because Connor Falefa will be left in because of the defensive metrics.
I mean, Straw has been a big defensive player too. Like usually when you see Nathan out in the outfield, or you see like who was it the other day? Barger was out there, I think, once that I've seen, and it's just like, but it's going to be interesting how that's going to come down, because you have the pitching, you have the $1 billion pitching from LA, and you have the Blue Jays pitching. Then you have the hitters from the Dodgers, but then you have the big hitters from the Jays. So I think this is going to go down to like a Game 6 or Game 7.
I honestly think there are some predictions that I have. I'm not sure where exactly this is going to go. I just think that the Jays are a team that have nothing to lose and a why not us mentality, and the most comeback wins in Major League Baseball, to where I do think they get it done. I do think that, but I've also seen the joke with this year. I don't have an official prediction to make yet. I also don't want to make one. I want to keep that to myself. But I've seen I saw one parent post on TikTok saying, Game 6 is on Halloween night. Please wrap this up in 5 or less so I don't have to worry about dealing with that. Because it's like, it's like, I don't want to take my kid trick-or-treating, but then again, you can do that and have him home for game time.
True.
Yeah, so we'll ultimately see what happens, but I really think that the Blue Jays do have a better chance than a lot of people are saying. I think it's going to be hard, but I think they can get it done. Also, too, so I can just, stick it to some people online.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But anyway, 21 weeks of this are down. We got 3 weeks left of great CFL football after this, which are the playoffs, the semifinals, the finals, and the Grey Cup. Rick and I are going to make like a Rolling Stone of Machine Gun Kelly and get on out of here. But for Rick from Hamilton Sports Central, I'm Griff of YWC Football Talk. Have a great night. Let's go Blue Jays. Enjoy this last week of Canadian football mixed in with a little bit of baseball magic, huh? Why don't you?